The demand arrived as the night sky over Earth was calm. Stars glittered above like silent watchers. People in every city looked up with wonder, but none of them knew that the peace of that night was about to be broken. Far above the planet, beyond the orbit of the moon, a massive alien ship drifted into view. It was not here to explore, it was not here to make friends. It was here to demand the Empire had arrived. Inside the United Earth Council chamber, leaders from every nation sat together. The air was heavy. Each person's face carried fear and tension. A giant screen lit up at the front of the hall. Static crackled, then cleared. An alien figure appeared, tall, armored, eyes glowing with cold light. His voice echoed in every human language at once. People of Earth, the Empire demands tribute. Your planet is now under our rule. You will send half of your resources, half of your energy, and half of your young ones to serve. If you refuse, we will burn your world until nothing remains. A silence fell across the chamber. No one spoke. No one moved outside the council. The people of Earth heard the same words broadcast in every home. Every screen, every radio, the world froze. The alien figure leaned forward, his sharp teeth visible. You have 7 days to decide. Your reply will determine your survival. The signal ended. The screen went dark. For a long moment, the only sound was the hum of the machines in the chamber. Then voices burst out all at once. Leaders shouted over each other. Some demanded to surrender. Others argued to fight. Fear and anger clashed like storms in the room. A general stood up, his hand firm on the table. We cannot pay tribute. If we bow once, we will bow forever. His voice shook, but his eyes were sharp. Another leader slammed his fist. But if we refuse, they will destroy us in days. The debate grew hotter in a small corner of the room. An old scientist whispered, They think we are weak, but they do not know what we have hidden. Few heard him, but those who did turned with sharp eyes. Meanwhile, across the globe, ordinary people reacted with fear. Some ran to buy supplies. Some locked their doors. Others fell to their knees in prayer. But in the hearts of many, a fire of anger started to burn. A mother looked at her son and said, No one will take you from me. A soldier in his small apartment stared at the night sky and muttered, If they come, we will fight. A young girl clenched her fists and whispered, Earth is not theirs. Back in the council chamber, the leaders finally fell silent. The weight of the Empire's demand pressed on every soul. Then the oldest member of the council, with a voice calm but strong, spoke slowly. They believe we are prey. They believe we will kneel, but we are human. We do not kneel. His words cut through the storm like a blade. Silence returned, but it was not the silence of fear anymore. It was the silence before a storm. Outside the chamber, news spread that Earth's leaders were debating. People gathered in the streets, holding signs, shouting in anger and unity. The world that had been divided for centuries now faced one enemy. One threat above them, the alien ship still waited, its dark hull blocking the stars, its weapons ready. It did not fear Earth. It did not respect Earth, it only expected tribute. But deep under mountains, hidden in oceans, buried in deserts, old machines began to hum. Ancient hangars flickered to life, forgotten lights glowed. Shadows of shapes too large for the Earth's sky slowly awoke. The scientist who had whispered earlier now stood taller. He looked at the general beside him and said, We have 7 days. 7 days to remind the galaxy who we are. The general's lips curved into a cold smile. Then let us prepare our reply. The world above still trembled in fear, but deep under the surface, humanity's answer was already being forged. The Empire thought they had given Earth 7 days of fear. They did not know they had given Earth 7 days of fire. And so on that night when the stars glittered silently, a new story began. A story the galaxy would never forget. A story that started with a demand, but would end with a warning. Earth would reply, but not as the Empire expected. The hidden strength of Earth, the Empire's ship still hovered like a shadow over the moon, waiting, watching, its message echoing across Earth. Pay tribute or be destroyed, but in the council chamber, the debate had changed. Fear still hung heavy, but now a new current flowed. Determination. The general stood before the leaders and said, The Empire thinks we are weak, let them believe it. But we will show them a truth they never dreamed. The old scientist adjusted his glasses and spoke, his voice steady. For decades we have hidden projects, secret work born from old wars and old fears. The galaxy does not know about them. Even many here do not know. It is time to bring them into the light. He pressed a small device, and the screen behind him lit up. Images filled the chamber, massive hangars carved into mountains, giant doors under oceans, ships buried under deserts, all sleeping, all waiting. The leaders leaned forward. Eyes wide, some gasped in shock. These were not simple aircraft. These were warships, machines of steel and fire, each one designed for battles beyond Earth's sky. The scientist continued. The world believed these projects were cancelled. Too costly, too dangerous. But they were not destroyed. They were hidden. The engineers who built them said one thing. One day, humanity will need them. That day is now. The general's hand pressed firmly on the table. Then we will awaken them. We will show the Empire what Earth really is across the planet. Secret codes were sent. Locks opened that had not been touched for generations. Heavy doors rumbled as they slid aside. Darkness gave way to light deep in the oceans. Bubbles rose as steel giants stirred in the deserts. Dust clouds lifted as hangar floors split apart in the mountains. Echoes thundered as engines roared back to life. Ordinary people did not see the full truth yet. But whispers spread. Something was happening under the surface. Strange lights in the sky. Strange tremors in the ground. People spoke in hushed voices. Earth is preparing something in one hidden base. An engineer ran his hand over the cold hull of a massive ship. We built you for this day, he whispered. Lights flickered across the ship's surface like stars awakening. In another, young pilots were brought underground. They looked in awe at the machines they would fly. I thought these were just myths, one said. The officer beside him smiled. They are real, and now they are yours. Meanwhile, the alien ship above Earth scanned the planet. Their instruments reported unusual activity. The Empire commander frowned. Strange energy spikes, but primitive. Nothing to fear. His second officer nodded. Yes, they are only stalling for time. Soon they will kneel, they laughed. Not knowing what was rising beneath their very eyes. In the council chamber, the scientist leaned close to the general. The hidden fleets will take time, but there is something else. The general looked at him sharply. What do you mean? The scientist lowered his voice. A signal, a call to the forgotten. He tapped a control. And a small transmitter extended from the table. Years ago, humanity launched ships into the dark. They were lost, abandoned, or so we thought. But they still carried the code, the link. If we send the call, they may answer. The general's eyes narrowed. And if they do not, the scientist whispered, then Earth fights alone. But if they do, the galaxy will see what humans never abandon. Without another word, the council gave its silent approval. The scientist pressed the code, and a pulse of energy raced into space. Invisible to most, but powerful to those who once served. The stars above Earth seemed unchanged, quiet and cold, but somewhere far beyond. In the dark corners of forgotten space, a light blinked, a machine stirred on Earth. The people still did not know. They still lived with fear of tribute and destruction, but soon they would see. Soon the world would know the hidden truth. The general walked out of the chamber that night and looked at the sky. He clenched his fist. Let them come closer, he muttered. They will not find prey. They will find hunters. The Empire had given Earth 7 days. They believed those days would be filled with fear. They did not know those days would awaken something greater. And far in the darkness, old warships long forgotten flickered to life. Their engines humming, their systems waking, answering the call of Earth. The hidden strength of humanity was no longer hidden. It was rising, and the galaxy had no idea what storm was about to break. The return of the forgotten fleet. The Empire's ship still circled near the moon, patient and certain. Their commander believed the humans would soon kneel after all. Every other world had bowed before the Empire's demand. Why would Earth be different but deep in space, far beyond the Empire's sight? The call had reached something ancient, a signal carrying codes written long ago, codes that only one fleet would recognize. In the dark void, abandoned ships floated like tombs, their hulls scarred, their engines cold. They had been thought lost, left behind after old wars. No one expected them to stir again. Yet one by one, their lights flickered, systems rebooted, machine minds awoke. A massive warship, bigger than any city, opened its eyes. Its engines glowed with blue fire. Its long-dead crew replaced by cold artificial minds that still remembered their orders. Protect Earth, defend humanity. Never surrender around it. Dozens of other ships stirred. Carriers, destroyers, frigates, each one forgotten by the galaxy but not forgotten by Earth. The code in their hearts had waited centuries for this moment. Now it pulsed with life again. The scientist watched the readings on his console, his old hand shaking. They are answering, he whispered, his eyes filled with both fear and pride. They are coming home in the council chamber. The general leaned forward, his voice low but steady. Then the Empire will not face a broken world. They will face a fleet that should never have returned far above. The Empire commander received new reports. His officers looked uneasy. Unidentified energy signatures detected on the edge of the system. The commander frowned. "Show me." The screen lit up with distant lights. Tiny dots at first, then growing larger. "How many?" the commander demanded. His officer's voice trembled. "Dozens. Maybe more." Silence filled the alien bridge. The forgotten fleet pushed forward, engines roaring, forming a wall of steel and fire. Their shadows stretched across the stars on Earth. Ordinary people looked up at the sky and saw strange lights. Meteors, they thought at first, but soon the truth spread. "Ships. They are ours," people shouted. "Earth is not alone." Hope began to burn brighter. In a small town, a boy pointed to the sky and asked his father, "Are they protecting us?" The father's eyes watered as he whispered, "Yes, son, they are ours," but the Empire was not silent. Their commander sneered. "So the humans had old ships hidden in the dark. It does not matter, our fleet is endless, our power unmatched." He turned to his crew. "Send a message to Earth. Let them know their tricks will not save them." The message was broadcast once more. The alien figure's voice filled every home. "You awaken old ghosts, but ghosts cannot stop us. You have 5 days left. Choose wisely, tribute or death." In the council chamber, anger surged. The leaders clenched their fists. The general simply shook his head. "They still do not understand," the scientist replied softly. "Then we will teach them." Deep in orbit, the first human warship entered the system fully. Its hull marked with ancient scars, its guns massive, its engines burning bright. It moved like a predator returning to its hunting ground. Behind it came more, wave after wave. A hidden base under the Pacific Ocean broadcast a single phrase to the fleet. "Welcome home." The reply came not in words but in action. The warships adjusted formation, their weapons charging, ready to defend. The Empire's scouts sent reports back in panic. "These ships, they do not fight like the others we conquered." But the commander silenced them with a growl. "They are relics, we will crush them to dust." Yet even as he spoke, doubt crept into his mind, for never before had prey responded to tribute demands with fleets rising from the dark. Never before had a world called back warriors thought lost to time. Earth's people gathered in streets, looking to the sky. Fear still lingered, but now it mixed with pride. One woman whispered to her child, "Look, this is humanity's answer." And in the silence of space, as the fleets faced each other across the void, the first signal was sent from Earth to the Empire. Just 2 words, sharp and cold. "Come closer." The Empire commander's jaw tightened. His claws dug into the metal armrest of his chair. He thought Earth would beg. Instead, they invited war. And for the first time in centuries, the Empire began to wonder if they had made a mistake. The clash of wills. The Empire did not wait long after receiving Earth's cold reply. "Come closer." Their commander's pride could not allow silence. He ordered a strike fleet forward. Hundreds of alien ships broke formation and moved toward Earth, their engines blazing red, their weapons already armed. On the surface of Earth, people held their breath. Every screen across the world showed the enemy ships moving closer. Some prayed, some cried, but many stood tall, whispering words of defiance in orbit. The first of humanity's awakened warships shifted into position. Massive steel predators that had slept for centuries now aimed their weapons toward the advancing fleet. The general's voice carried across the command channels. "Today we fight not for tribute, not for surrender, but for our place among the stars." The battle began with a single flash. A beam of alien fire streaked across space, slamming into the shield of an ancient human cruiser. The shield flared bright, cracked, but held in response. The cruiser's guns roared, sending a storm of molten light tearing through the void. One Empire ship exploded instantly, shattered into burning fragments. Gasps echoed across Earth as people watched live feeds. They had feared defeat, but now they saw something different. Humanity's ships were fighting back and not falling. The Empire commander snarled on his bridge. "Press harder, overwhelm them." His officers obeyed. Alien ships swarmed like wolves, diving in, surrounding the human line. But the humans did not scatter. Their ships moved with deadly precision, old tactics designed by warriors long gone. But now alive again, a destroyer broke from formation, drawing enemy fire, then suddenly spun, releasing torpedoes that shredded 3 alien vessels at once. In another sector, a small human frigate was cornered, its hull burning, yet instead of fleeing, it rammed into the largest enemy cruiser, tearing it apart in a storm of fire. Cheers erupted on Earth, even in death. Humanity refused to be prey on the Empire's ship. One alien officer whispered, "Commander, they fight like hunters, not like victims." But the commander silenced him with a glare. Still his claws trembled slightly on the armrest. Back on Earth, in the council chamber, the scientist leaned toward the general. The forgotten fleet fights better than we ever dreamed, but we cannot hold forever. The Empire's numbers are endless. The general's eyes narrowed. Then we do not need forever. We only need to make them fear us above. The battle raged. Explosions lit the dark like falling stars. One by one, alien ships were destroyed. But humanity paid a price. Old warships cracked. Engines failed. Crews screamed as hulls shattered, yet even broken ships fought until the last spark. One human commander gave his final order. Aim for their carrier. Now, his ship burning, he drove it forward, straight into the alien carrier. The explosion blinded half the battlefield. When the light cleared, the carrier was gone. Silence filled alien channels. Earth's people saw it happen on their screens. They wept, they shouted, they raised their fists. The world that had once been divided now stood as one, not in fear but in pride. The Empire commander gritted his teeth. His perfect plan shattered. He had expected surrender. Instead, he faced resistance. Worse, he faced courage. He turned to his second officer. Send a message back to High Command. Earth is not simple. They are dangerous. His voice shook with both rage and fear. But before the officer could send it, another report flashed across the bridge. Commander, more ships. Arriving from deep space, the screen filled with new signals. The forgotten fleet had not yet fully returned. More warships poured into the system, their engines like thunder, their weapons ready. The Empire commander's eyes widened. His pride cracked for the first time. He whispered, "This is not possible." And on Earth, the general stood before the council, his voice calm. The galaxy demanded tribute, but our answer is clear. He looked at the glowing sky of explosions above. Run while you still can. The clash of wills had begun, and for the first time in centuries, the Empire had met an enemy that did not bow. The galaxy trembles. The battle around Earth shook the stars. The Empire's ships burned in the void. Human warships, scarred and old, still stood like steel giants. They had not fallen. They had not bowed across the galaxy. News traveled faster than light. Traders carried whispers. Smugglers told tales. The Empire's demand had been met not with tribute, but with defiance. Entire worlds paused to listen. On a desert planet, slaves huddled around a broken screen. When they saw human ships fighting back, tears filled their eyes. One whispered. Someone stood up. Another cried. Maybe we can too. Hope spread like fire in the great halls of rival empires. Leaders argued. Some were afraid, others were furious. Humans are reckless, one alien lord hissed. They will drag the galaxy into chaos. But another spoke quietly. Or they will change everything. The Empire's High Council received the report. Their faces pale, their pride cracked. How could a primitive world resist, one demanded. Another whispered the truth none wanted to say. Perhaps they are not primitive back on Earth. People filled the streets, they held torches, banners. They shouted into the night sky. No longer afraid, they sang songs of defiance. The whole planet spoke with one voice. We will not kneel. The general watched from the council tower, his eyes hard but proud. Beside him, the old scientist said softly, "The galaxy is watching us now, every world, every race. They will remember this night," the general replied. "Then let them remember that humans do not break." In hidden channels, secret messages began to flow. Small alien nations, once crushed by the Empire, now sent quiet signals toward Earth. "We saw your fight," one message read. "If you rise, we will rise with you," another whispered. "Teach us your courage," but not all messages were kind. The Empire's allies swore vengeance. Some demanded that Earth be crushed before its defiance spread. Fleets were ordered to prepare, weapons forged in haste. Still, the cracks in the Empire's armor had begun to show. Their fear leaked into their words. Their commanders hesitated where once they had spoken only with arrogance. In orbit, the forgotten fleet gathered, though scarred. They formed a wall of protection around Earth. Their guns pointed outward, silent but ready. Their very presence a warning. Ordinary families stood outside at night, pointing to the bright lights in the sky. Children asked, "Are they watching us?" Parents answered with pride, "Yes, they are guarding us on a distant moon." A rebel leader watched the human victory replayed on stolen broadcasts. He clenched his fist. The Empire is not untouchable. Humans proved it, his followers cheered, their eyes burning with new hope. Meanwhile, in the Empire's throne chamber, the Emperor himself sat in silence, his advisors trembling before him. One dared to speak. "Great One, perhaps Earth should be ignored. Their strength is dangerous." But the Emperor's eyes narrowed, his voice like ice. No, if one world defies us, soon all will. Earth must be destroyed. Orders were sent. The largest armada in history began to assemble. Thousands of ships pulled from every corner of the Empire. A storm of steel prepared to move on Earth. The scientist received intercepted transmissions. His face grew pale. They are gathering everything, he told the general. They mean to end us in one strike. The general's reply was steady. Then we will show them that one strike is not enough. The council gathered once more, this time without fear. They spoke not of surrender, but of preparation. Leaders once divided by borders now stood as one. Earth was no longer a planet waiting for doom. It had become a symbol across the stars. The name of humanity spread. Some whispered it with hope, others with fear, but no one could ignore it. The galaxy trembled, for in the space of a single week, a world once unknown had risen to stand against an empire, and as the empire's armada moved closer, the people of Earth raised their voices louder. "Run while you still can," they cried, their defiance echoing into the stars. The storm was coming, but so was humanity's reply. Earth's reply to the galaxy. The Empire's largest armada moved like a storm through the stars. Thousands of ships, weapons glowing, their path clear, their goal simple, to crush Earth and erase its defiance. But Earth did not wait. Hidden bases around the world thundered as more warships rose. The forgotten fleet joined with new ones, old and young together. Humanity's sky filled with fire. In the council chamber, the general stood before the leaders, his voice calm but firm. The Empire demands tribute, but humanity does not fight for gold or fear. We fight for freedom, not just ours, but for every world under their chains. The scientist leaned forward, his eyes shining. The galaxy does not know yet, but they will see. Humans are not prey. Humans are not servants. Humans are defenders. Signals spread from Earth, not in secret but openly broadcast across every channel, every frequency to every star. Earth's voice reached even the farthest colonies. The message was simple. To all who live under the Empire, to all who suffer in silence, we do not kneel, we will fight. Join us or watch, but know this. The age of tribute is ending in slave camps across alien worlds. Prisoners looked up in shock. They had never heard such words broadcast so boldly. Tears ran down their faces, one whispered. "Someone speaks for us," another shouted. "They fight for us on Earth." Ordinary people carried supplies to soldiers. Engineers worked day and night. Children painted stars on walls and wrote words of hope. The whole planet moved with one heart. The forgotten fleet pushed out of orbit, not hiding but announcing their presence. Massive steel shadows spread across the black, their weapons glowing like suns. In deep space, human warships struck first. They did not wait for the Empire to come. They moved like hunters, cutting enemy supply lines, ambushing convoys, destroying fuel stations. Alien allies of the Empire trembled. Their commanders sent frantic messages. The humans are everywhere, they fight like shadows. They do not stop. The Empire commander grew restless. How can they be so bold? They are only one world. But even he could not ignore the truth. One world was moving like an army of many. Meanwhile, humanity freed alien slaves from Empire ships. They did not ask for payment. They simply said, "You are free now." The freed aliens looked at them with disbelief. No one had ever fought for them without gain. In secret places, small rebellions began to spark. Inspired by Earth's defiance, some small, some larger, but all carried one new word on their lips: humanity. The scientist whispered to the general, "They will not see us only as rebels now. They will see us as a light." The general nodded. "Then let us burn bright enough that the Empire cannot look away." Soon the Empire's channels were filled with Earth's voice again. The final warning broadcast across the galaxy. A voice that carried not pride but steady defiance to the Empire. You demanded tribute, you demanded fear, you demanded our children. But humanity does not give what you demand. We give only one gift, a chance to run while you still can. The words reached the Emperor's throne itself. He crushed the armrest of his chair in fury. But even he could not silence the whispers spreading across his empire. Across the stars, the galaxy trembled, not from the Empire's power, but from the rising storm of humanity. On Earth's streets, people no longer wept, they no longer hid. They stood together, fists raised to the sky. Voices joined, their song carried across the night. The forgotten fleet in orbit burned brighter, their engines like torches in the dark. Each ship carrying the weight of a world, each one a promise that Earth would not bow. And far beyond, in the cold void, the Empire's armada kept coming. But now they came not to crush weak prey, they came to face hunters. The galaxy had heard Earth's reply. and nothing would ever be the same again. The end or the beginning, the Empire's armada finally arrived, a wall of fire and steel that stretched across the stars, thousands of ships, bigger than anything humanity had ever faced. Their engines glowed red, their weapons pulsed with power. The very sight made entire worlds tremble. On Earth, people gathered in every city watching the sky. The screens above them showed the incoming storm. Fear rippled through the crowds, but this time fear did not break them, it hardened them. The general stood in the command chamber, his hands resting firm on the table, his voice steady. The Empire believes this is the end. Let us show them it is only the beginning. The old scientist beside him nodded. They think numbers win wars, but wars are won by will. And Earth's will is stronger than any empire above. The forgotten fleet shifted into formation. Every ship ready, shields flared, weapons charged. Their hulls scarred from old wars, but still strong. They formed a wall around Earth. The Empire commander stared at the sight with cold eyes, his pride bleeding into rage. They dare to stand against us, destroy them, he roared. The battle began like thunder. The first strike came from the Empire. Beams of fire tore through the void. One human destroyer was ripped apart instantly, its explosion blazing across the stars. Cries of grief echoed on Earth, but before the flames faded, 2 Empire cruisers were shattered in return. The sky above Earth became a storm of light. Ships collided, weapons screamed, explosions painted the black with fire. Every second felt like an eternity. A small human frigate was surrounded by 5 alien ships, but instead of retreating, it spun and dove, weaving like a predator, its guns blazing. 2 alien ships fell. The rest pulled back in shock. In another sector, a human cruiser, its shields almost gone, turned its last energy into one final strike. Its torpedoes tore straight through an Empire carrier. The explosion shook the entire armada. Cheers burst across Earth, but victory came with pain. Human ships fell one after another, each one burning, yet none surrendered. Even when engines died, even when hulls cracked, their last shots were fired with defiance. The Empire commander snarled, his claws scraping deep marks into his chair. Why do they not break, he growled, his officer whispered. Commander, they fight like they have nothing to lose. The commander's voice shook with rage. No, they fight like they cannot be conquered on Earth. The people shouted to the sky. Their voices carried on the winds, stand, stand. Never kneel. The whole planet roared as if their voices alone pushed the fleet forward. The scientist turned to the general. We cannot match their numbers, but we can break their spirit. The general's eyes burned. Then we aim for the heart. Human ships adjusted, focusing fire not on the swarm but on the Empire's command vessels. One by one, alien flagships burned. Each loss sent shockwaves of panic through the Empire fleet. For the first time in centuries, the Empire's armada hesitated. Their lines wavered, their officers doubted, and in that hesitation, humanity struck harder. The Empire commander shouted in fury. But even his voice could not steady his fleet. Whispers spread through his own ranks. They do not fear us. They cannot be broken. Earth's broadcast repeated across every channel. Every ship, every world, run while you still can. The words echoed like thunder. On distant planets, slaves rose against their masters. Rebels raised their flags. The galaxy no longer trembled at the Empire. It trembled at the rise of humanity. Still, the battle was not won. The Empire armada remained vast, the cost heavy, the future uncertain, but the moment was undeniable. For the first time, the Empire had met defiance it could not crush. As the general watched the stars burn with fire, he spoke softly. This is not the end of the Empire, but it is not the end of us either. This is the beginning of something greater. The scientist looked at him, eyes filled with both pride and sorrow. The galaxy will never forget this day. Above them, the fleet still clashed, the storm still raged, the outcome still unknown. But one truth had already been written. Earth had replied, and the galaxy would never be the same again.